From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up War Chant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up War Chant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, Tommy Castellanos drops dimes and $1 million quotes. We get to the next installment of the Top 40, and recruiting is on a tear. Wake Up War Chant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Sip the juice, everybody. Shake it and take it. Take this little bottle that's in my hands. Put it in your hands, everybody, by going to VitaminEnergy.com and ordering your variety of choice. Maybe you want to get your immune system a little bit better this summer. Maybe you want to get the pump going in the gym. Maybe you want to have a better mood, focus a little bit better. There's a variety for that, and it's in one little bottle that's not even 2 full ounces with absolutely no sugar and 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine. No smoke and mirrors, just the good stuff, and vitamins and nutrients to aid in all these things that we talk about. Again, the mood, the immune system, your focus. Give it a shot, everybody. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it. Knowles behind the controls at Vitamin Energy. Also made in America, so I think this has been tariff-resistant, Corey, so that's pretty cool, too.
Oh, great.
WarChant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Won't you come down, everybody? Good recruiting stuff going on. You want to see all that? You want to read all that? You can do that over on the recruiting and transfer board, or the portal board, I think we call it the recruiting and portal board now. And then the tribal council, lots of good discussions happening, even though it's June. We've been given some material to talk about. We'll show our appreciation for that in the coming minutes today. But first, Corey Clark, how are you, man?
I'm good, buddy. Thanks for asking. I apologize to all the listeners that we didn't have a show yesterday. That was that was mostly on me. We were having a birthday celebration for Brady with his family, so didn't want to interrupt that. And also it worked out, Aslan, because so much news happened on Monday that we delayed it a day, and now we got a full show.
All right, well, like what news?
Well, you know, the recruiting goodness,
yeah,
and then the quarterback talking.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, Monday. I was thinking about Sunday for some reason. I thought we were going to talk about Coastal Carolina's coach getting the gate in the first inning, but maybe we'll even talk about that at some point in the
God bless
podcast.
College baseball.
Pete Nakos, business reporter for On3, caught up with Thomas Castellanos. You can read this entire story over at On3, and there's a lot to read, and it's all pretty intriguing and captivating. The headline of the story, Thomas Castellanos on opportunity at Florida State. I'm trying to save jobs and win. So I saw that. I was like, boy, that's a pretty bold statement. The full quote is, all they need is one season in 1 year. I feel like I have the skill set to be one of the best. Now I just have to turn this thing around for these guys, for this community, this fan base, and the staff. I'm not just playing for Florida State. I'm playing for coaches who are fathers and who have homes and families here. I'm trying to save jobs and win.
Yeah.
I saw that, and I was like, wow. And then it got even more exciting. Corey, I don't know if we should go like piece by piece, but then I saw the breakout quote about his excitement for the Alabama game. I've dreamed of moments like this, Thomas says. I dreamed of playing against Tommy. I dreamed of playing against Alabama. They don't have Nick Saban to save them. I just don't see them stopping me. And then the ACC. I feel like I tore the ACC up by my damn self for the last 2 years, and now I'm with the squad.
Okay. So, and there was more. They even talked about maybe going to New York and being a Heisman candidate. I think there's a lot of Florida State fans that would like their quarterback to maybe not be so vocal and boisterous. I know he was not part of a 2-10 season, but this is a fan base that is embarrassed by what happened last year, and maybe don't want their quarterback making grandiose comments about Alabama and Nick Saban not being able to save them, and they can't stop them. I have 1 foot in that camp, not even a foot. I would say I have my left pinky toe in my whatever that toe is next to the pinky toe.
Okay.
In that camp, my other 8 toes are in the camp of
let's go.
Yeah, man, speak it. Who speak it? Have some confidence. But I don't care if you're good enough to back it up, and we'll see.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have a kid that believes in himself this much, because confidence breeds typically confidence breeds good play. Good play breeds confidence. I guess that's the chicken or the egg. But I love that he's this confident. And also, at the end of the day, if they lose to Alabama 27-10, yes, people will make fun of him. He'll get freezing cold taked. That's fine. There's still 11 more games to play. I like that this kid, this program needs something like this, in my opinion. They need a good quarterback, but they need a bolt of cockiness, obviously good play, but just like cockiness and self-belief, man. They need some of this. Jared Verse had never played a down of even Division I AA football. And he came in and thought he was the best defensive end in the country. Now, he ended up being probably correct. But there's some guys that just have this self-belief. And it really, people can, it is galvanizing. People can rally around it. And most of this I see as like a leader trying to be a leader. Some of it's a little much, but okay, man. Good, fine. It's not hurting anything in the late June.
Yeah, man, I'm not there. I'm glad you are, though.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I did so much for that program, Boston College, and I did everything I could, and I just wasn't repaid the right way.
Well, that you didn't bring up that quote.
Well,
I was talking about the three we brought up. Yeah,
I'm just everything I keep. It gets better or worse, however you want to look at it. Like
yeah.
I honestly, the first quote I saw was the headline that was in Pete's story about like I'm here to save people's jobs. Like, man, you're my brother, man. You're 21 years old. Like, you don't got to worry about these people's jobs. They're fine. They're gonna be all right. Like your job is to get a degree, get this team playing pretty well, and see what happens after that. I don't know if this whole saving people's jobs thing is crazy, and then for him to talk about, Boston College, like they did not have good talent around me. Like I didn't have athletes around me. But you had a good offensive line, though. But clearly, I think that Boston College separation has weighed on him. So maybe that chip on the shoulder is clearly being asserted in this way that he's just unleashing all these quotes on Pete. And, listen, I don't want to be hypocritical and say that somebody's not a good quote and they're a boring interview, and then you go and give like a bunch of great quotes and it's like, hey, man, shut up, put a sock in it. The Alabama thing, that bothers me the most. It's just you can make it about yourself.
I love the Boston College stuff bothers me the most, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, man. Don't take a big flaming dump on the team that was there for you for 2 years and gave you a chance to start. And those were your teammates. I don't think that's a good look. The Alabama thing, I get what you're saying. Like, you don't want to give them bulletin board material. Aren't they going to try hard either way? Isn't Tommy Castellanos going to try hard either way? This is just maybe it's not the smartest thing to say, but I don't think it's going to impact much at all. He will have to wear it if they lose. And if he plays poorly, he's going to have to wear it, and he's going to look like a fool for that Saturday. But, again, you come off 2-10, and you got the quarterback play you got last year, which was legitimately, folks, it's not hyperbole, it was the worst quarterback play in the United States, just by almost any metric. You all watched it. It was horrible quarterback play. Horrible. Horrible quarterback coaching, horrible quarterback playing. And now you have a guy that's basically telling Alabama to bring it on. Luckily, he wasn't here last year, but I think the fact that there are some guys that were here last year, but there are a lot of new guys that are like, yeah, man, that wasn't us. 2-10 ain't us. Don't think you're playing a 2-10 football team. And the kid is dynamic, and I like when your quarterbacks have this much confidence. Dare I say, I think Jordan Travis had as much confidence as this. I think Jordan Travis, if you could read his mind in 2023, was like, yeah, I don't think LSU can stop me.
Yeah, but the fact that he never externalized it, doesn't that matter?
Right. It does, but I'm saying I'm more worried about the confidence. The fact that he has this confidence means more to me than maybe you thinking it was dumb to externalize it. I get that. Don't give them any extra motivation, but I just like that I don't think this is performative. Like, I don't think he's just saying stuff to pump himself up, to make himself try to be confident. I think this is who he is. He believes in himself this much. That's what this program needs. It needs a jolt of something, and especially at the most important position. And, he might be right. It ain't like a lot of defenses can slow that kid down when he's fully healthy and unleashed. He is a dynamic runner. Again, he's not Peyton Manning throwing the ball or Mahomes, but he is a dynamic runner, and he might have something for him. He better. He better after what he said in the article. But most of me likes the confidence, and I think it's something that the team can rally around. And maybe I don't like, obviously, the fact that, understand that you are right now, you're not a rent-a player, but you're kind of a rent-a player.
He absolutely is. If he does not play well this year, they're not bringing him back, and he has eligibility. Right. They'll fight to get his eligibility if he's good, and if he's not, they'll be like, "All right, man, gone later. Thank you."
But it's like he is. You are the quarterback of Florida State University. There's a lot of people that came before you that made that helmet what it is, made that university what it is, built that stadium. So in that respect, maybe you should. It didn't sound like maybe he cared that much about that part of it, but. I just don't hold that much. I don't hold it against him. Like he's at Florida State to make money, to win games, to up his value. It's what he is. It's college football in 2025. And if he plays well against Alabama, God love him. We're all gonna be celebrating him. I do like the fact that he believes in himself that much. I don't think he quite understood maybe when you're saying stuff like that, how embarrassing it could be for the fans of that team that just had to sit through 2-10. You know what I mean? Like, you're wounded. Just from the reaction on Twitter, it didn't seem like Florida State fans were really fired up that their quarterback was talking smack to Alabama and that Nick Saban's not going to save them and all that. Like, speaking such a big game, I get it. So I understand that he maybe should have thought twice about that. At the same time, boy, you just sit there and say, I hope we compete? Like, go believe in yourself, man.
I'm confident. I love who I'm surrounded by. I think we're going to do great things this year together as a team. There you go, man. That's confidence. Listen, DJ Lagway didn't come out and say, my job is to save Billy Napier's job. His job is exactly what he said, is Corey, to win games, make money. He's made his money. Now go win some games, man. This isn't settling scores with Bill O'Brien and Boston College, talking crap about the conference, goading Alabama. Nick Saban's not there to save you, man. Like, who did you carve up?
Yeah.
Who did you carve up, man? You lost your job at Boston College. Like, have a little bit of, like, modesty and, like, humility. But, again, like, I just totally, went nuclear on the poor kid. I don't mean to be that way. I don't know, man. I guess.
But what does it hurt? What does it hurt? Like, honestly, like, what does it hurt? Like, if they go 8-4 this season, they lose to Alabama 27-10. Are we talking about this in November? Like, it is so imperative.
We're talking about it in September, first when we're doing our
2nd,
show.
Absolutely. We'll be talking about it for probably 2 weeks after that. But, I mean, again, there are people in this industry, I'm talking about athletics, that say dumb stuff all the time that doesn't come true. It's a story for a week, and then the season continues. So, yes, he will get dunked on repeatedly that first week after the Alabama game if they lose, or even if Florida State wins 13-10, but he's horrible and gets benched or something. He will get dunked on repeatedly. But at the end of the day,
how is that going to affect his confidence? Sorry to interrupt you, Court.
Yeah.
Like, how will that affect his confidence and this team's confidence that they're all coming together for this shared goal? They're all in on Alabama. We've got them. They can't stop us. And then they lose by, whatever. Even if they cover, I mean, if you want to go down that route.
I get the impression he would be stunned if he doesn't play well. Don't you like? I don't
know,
think
but if
you
they
say
lose,
this.
I'm sorry. Does it matter if he plays well? I mean, don't they want to win the game? That's the most important thing.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, with
if
him
he goes
saying
on
they
and does
can't
his
stop
thing,
me.
if he goes on and does his thing, and they lose, he can be like, "Hey, man, I did my thing."
I don't think he would do that. But
he can say that to himself. He can say it to himself to pick up the pieces and play well the rest of the year. Okay.
But also, like, if they lose 38-34, but he looks like he did against Florida State in 2023 and does run all over them and make plays and get them in the end zone repeatedly, wouldn't that be something? Yeah. I think that's important. I think that he would be stunned if he doesn't do that. In that position, you have to have this kind of confidence. I'm not saying it was the smartest thing in the world to do that. It doesn't make a ton of sense to even say stuff like that. But it's not as if he's lacking confidence. And it's also so this program, after the play it got at that position last year, I am all about a kid that thinks he's the best player in the world. I am all about, even if he's delusional, which he might be, everyone. He might be delusional. Aslan's right. He did lose his job last year at Boston College. He might be delusional, but I'd rather him be delusional than like a realist. Like, man, I just hope we go 5-7. I hope we can stay on the field with Alabama. I think this kid thinks he's going to be a Heisman contender. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Verbalizing it, maybe. But I don't think it's a bad thing at all because I don't think this is performative. Like I said, I don't think this is just trying to build up juice for the game. I think this kid thinks he's one of the best players in America. Is he one of the best players in America? I don't know. Probably not. But I like that he thinks that because that does breed confidence. He does have some real experience to fall back on where he has been the best player on the field in multiple college football games. So let's see it unleashed. It's probably not what Mike Norvell wanted to read. I imagine there might have been a text exchange about, man, what? But at the end of the day, and I'm just talking about the Alabama part. Nick Saban's not here to save them. I just think he was probably trying to be cute and playful, and then saying, "I don't think they can stop me." Well, yeah, no, I don't think Jordan Travis would have thought they could have stopped him either. The Nick Saban comment is the one that's that I would think would ruffle some feathers over there. He's also not wrong. Nick Saban ain't there. Yeah, and we don't think Alabama is the Alabama
no, they're not.
5 or 6 years ago. So
they're not. So just go ahead and stomp them on the street without calling your shot beforehand.
Yeah, I know. But what if he did call a shot, Aslan?
Yeah,
what if they go doing that?
This is an amazing. This season is going to be exciting if nothing else. Yeah, because week one right out the gates, if he comes out and he beats Alabama. Like, buckle up. Like, I will eat crow, whatever you want to call it. Like, I want the kid to do well. I just don't think this is the way to go about doing it. But if he plays a really good game against Alabama and Florida State beats Alabama, listen, man, this is, like, be careful what you wish for. So much of this story is, I wanted to be at Florida State. I did great at Boston College, but I wasn't appreciated. And not so much, like, from the coaches or the fans, but, like, nationally. Like, no one talked about Tommy Castellanos because you're doing it in Chestnut Hill in a very small stadium in the ACC. I know it's still the ACC. I mean, you do it at Florida State. Gus Malzahn, all the sort of buzz that's around Florida State right now. Like, is Mike Norvell cooked? Is he not? And you come out and you play this brand of football that you're definitely capable of. Can you sustain it for 13 weeks against teams week in and week out? We'll see. But he wants this. Like, he wants the notoriety. He's at Florida State. It's this brand. It's this program. Like, he wants to be seen and appreciated and adulated. So here you go, man. Like, we're gonna have no time wasted in finding out if he's that guy. He's
going to be on the biggest stage of his career.
Yeah, easily.
And it seems like his personality is he is going to embrace that. Not everybody does, right? I don't think does he seem scared? Like, that's the beauty to me. Like, when they ran the quarterbacks out there last year, none of them seemed confident. Most of them seemed frankly scared, and they weren't coached well. I get it. This kid, if nothing else, is going to meet the moment with confidence. Now, if he throws 3 picks and they lose 41-11, yeah, who gives a crap? But I do like the fact that, this kid might be he was good 2 years ago, and he was good against Florida State last year. He was in a bad offense for him. Him and the Gus Malzahn offense, he might be the truth. And the alternative, to just get mad and think you just put a target on your back, you idiot. You have no chance of backing this up. That's not how this kid thinks, man. He's going to go out there thinking he's the best player on the field. We'll see if that's the truth, but he's going to go out there thinking that. And that's where most of me leans is, thank God there's a kid on that team at that position that has that kind of confidence in himself, because it was missing last year. Even DJ, who might have had a ton of confidence in himself, just was soft-spoken. He wasn't this. I just think after 2-10, you need a jolt of something like this. A little bit crazy to do what he did. I get it. The talking about Boston College, not a fan of that at all. I wish he hadn't have done that. Talking about saving jobs. Again, man, this kid thinks he's like the savior, like legitimately the savior, which awesome. Yeah. Awesome. He knows there's pressure on him.
Well, for this era,
not backing down from that.
Yeah, for this era he is, right? Like, if he's the Mike
if he's
Norvell
good. Yeah, if he's good, he saves Mike Norvell, like Jordan Travis saved Mike Norvell. There's quarterbacks throughout time who've saved their head coaches' jobs. So he's not wrong. I mean, if they're bad again with him, there might be jobs on the line. Probably will be jobs that are lost. So he seems to understand the moment. Now, he also needs to understand that this isn't Boston College, and you don't speak into the void where nobody's there at your press conferences and nobody cares that the Boston College quarterback is yapping. When you're in Florida State and you're about to play Alabama, there's a magnifying glass on you. He might need to calm it down a little, but big personality like we've talked about. I love that he has belief in himself, and I love that he has belief in his teammates. And the quicker we get to August 30th, the quicker 2-10 is in our rear view forever. And if this kid goes and plays well on August 30th, then that's what I meant. Like, even if they lose 38-34, but he looks like the dude. He looks like the truth. And it's a fun game. And the offense plays well. Well, that bodes pretty well for the rest of your season. So that's why I think it's not the end of the world if they lose the game. He's going to get dunked on and clowned if he plays poorly. But at the end of the day, he's still going to be the starting quarterback. And he's still, if they go 8-1 over the next 9 games, nobody's going to be making fun of him for what he said to about Alabama.
Yeah, that's all. You just got to go 8-1 after that game, Tommy.
Hey,
no pressure.
I'm just saying.
But this is what you signed up for.
The story isn't written if he plays poorly in that game on his season. But he's going to have to wear it. But these are the life lessons. These are the lessons we learn in life.
Yeah. I've learned my lesson. If I'm hungry, I'm going to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill around the clock.
Amen, brother.
That kitchen open until 1:30 a.m. because who loves you? Bill and the folks at Corner Pocket. 2475 Appalachia Parkway, the address. Daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. comes with a side dish of your choice. Everything is delicious. Cold drinks, billiards, darts, 40 television screens, and social outings for everybody. Trivia night tomorrow, tonight at 7 p.m. And then on Thursday, it's going to be bingo night. 4 rounds, $250 cash money up for grabs in each single round. Bring a friend, everybody, or, again, meet a friend. Always a great time over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, cptallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. We're back. It's Wake Up War Chance, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Just this last one, Corey, I just have to get your thoughts.
Okay.
Excited to be here, obviously, Tommy says, quote, just how desperate they were. And the same way for me. If this doesn't go right, then who knows? But I just liked how desperate they were. They could have gone out and got any quarterback in the country with NIL, and they chose me.
So when he says desperate, he
wanted, right? It's like wanted.
That's what he means, right? Like he likes how wanted he was.
Yeah.
By a team that absolutely knew it had to go get a quarterback. It's not a great turn of phrase, but if I'm reading it, that's what he's saying, right? He's not like making fun of Florida State for being desperate or saying like they were so desperate they even gave me a lot of money. I think he's saying like they were desperate. They absolutely had to go get a good quarterback and a right fit, and I was their first choice. And he likes that he was their first choice for a team that had real urgency to get good quick, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think in hindsight, this is not hindsight. This is maybe foresight, but I could be completely wrong. So save the timestamp and bring it up when we're celebrating an ACC championship. Everybody, and tell me that I'm not allowed to enjoy it because I spoke bad about Tommy back on June 24th.
Buddy, you ain't the only one.
Yeah.
There's no way that Florida State fans were like, "Oh, that's cute. All right, our quarterback's confident." I know that I'm taking like the contrarian position, and I'm not doing it for like to play podcast or radio. Like I genuinely I thought about it, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I kind of like it. I like that he's that bold and brash. Florida State was kind of made on players like that. It's good to have that injected back into the program. Because Lord knows the head coach is never going to say anything like that. Right. It's good to have a little personality and a little brashness injected into the program. But I absolutely understand how Florida State fans, after being embarrassed essentially since the Orange Bowl against Georgia, now they kind of wear this embarrassment too. Like, oh, we got a kid that hadn't played it down for us.
Writing a big check.
Writing a huge check and already smack talking Alabama. Yeah. Alabama, really? We got to deal with this? But it'll die down. Yeah. It will die down right up until August start, right up until the week of the game. Castellanos is asked about it again, and then that ABC will show the quote, before he goes out on the field. I can promise you this, folks. If I know anything, ESPN or ABC, who's ever doing the game, will absolutely, before Castellanos takes a snap, show that quote in its entirety as he's jogging onto the field for the first series against Alabama.
Wonder if this affects him coming to ACC kickoff. But what I was going to say, Corey, is I think
that's a good point. It might.
If you want to, look back on last year, hindsight, and what went wrong in the portal, and them not identifying the right players, and obviously, the real story probably is they were not proven commodities. There's a lot of potential, and we hope and we project, but I think a lot of it was this level of content, relaxation. Like, I made it. Like, Florida State just, recognizes me that I'm great. They do nothing but grab the best players around the country in the transfer portal and create great, memorable seasons. They picked me. I've arrived. And then I don't know if they really put in the level of work they wanted to achieve those results. It feels like there's, Deuce Robinson said, like, the reason that he committed was because he felt like he was so wanted. And, Tommy, obviously, the way it ended in Boston College, you kind of end up with some egg in your face. You don't look to be like in a very strong position, but then a program like Florida State is like, hey, like we want you, and it's like, yeah, man, to feel wanted. So if this doesn't work out, we'll probably look back on it that they brought in a lot of guys that came here because they needed like validation and affirmation, and they might not have been the best pieces or all kind of work together. So like there's a couple of these guys that have mentioned just the feeling wanted, which I get it, man. That's an important part of this whole recruiting process. That's different from high school to transfer portal. But we'll see how it all works out throughout the season. But I could see that possibly being one of the sort of theories if this doesn't go right this year that we look back on things.
Yeah, but I think going right is relative, right? Like, we know they did better in the portal this year, in my opinion. I guess we don't know until the games start. But they're going to be better than they were last year. I mean, they just made mistakes if they stay healthy-ish. The receiver portals are better. They went and got guys in the linebacker that actually have experience and can play. They got a quarterback that can fit this system and fit it maybe really, really well. So we know they got a running back that's pretty impressive, or has a pretty impressive resume. Much more impressive than, like, not taking shots, but like more impressive than Roydell, more impressive than Malik, more impressive than Jaylen Brown, more impressive than who was the kid from Auburn? Sean Murphy, and then the kid from Auburn, Cam Riley. Yeah. So we know they're going to be better. So if it goes right or goes well, if it works out, you're talking about if they get to 8 or 9 wins. But either way, I think moving forward, this is the way to approach the portal, right? Like, I don't think they would go back to what they did before 2024. Go get proven guys, and maybe you just didn't get enough of them, or you didn't get the right fit, or you didn't get good enough proven guys. But this is the way moving forward. Well, and this dovetails into what we should talk about next, but this is absolutely the way going forward. Go get proven guys from other schools that have played and put stuff on tape where they can play at this level and play well, and then keep recruiting like this at the high school level. And, buddy, the fireworks are going to be going off, Aslan. It seemed like it was a banner a couple of days for the Florida State recruiting class of 2026.
Oh, is that what you want to talk about next, producer Corey?
I do, because I don't want it to all be negative about Castellanos, because this, it feels like, is easily the best, most impressive stretch on the recruiting trail for Mike Norvell since he's been here. With the stack of guys they've gotten, the number of guys they've gotten in the last, I know they got 2 4-stars on Monday, at least, by the time we were recording the show, including Dexter Carter's kid. There we go. We knew he was a Knoll. Dexter Carter's Knoll through and through. But they've done really well, it seems. And they got the quarterback that flipped from Oklahoma. Like, this has been as good as he has done since he's been here. Coming off 2-10, by the way. So, maybe he got the message, or the powers that be got the message that 22nd ranked recruiting classes ain't cutting it, Mike. Let's start investing in those guys too.
Yeah, they're 13th currently now in the rankings for high school recruiting. Jaden O'Neal, quarterback that Corey mentioned out of Oklahoma. Monday they were busy. Got Xavier Tiller, tight end from Langston Hughes High School outside Fairburn, Georgia. He actually went on official visits to Auburn and Alabama. That's what I kind of look at nowadays. I mean, everyone's got apparently offers, but I look to see where they've made official visits, because that means like you wanted to go there somewhat, and you obviously had a firm, committable, quote-unquote, offer. And then, Devin Carter, we've got him composite. We don't have him top 125, but composite, he's one of the 125 best players in the entire country for this cycle, 19th best wide receiver. And I think there's something to be said too about, like, again, with whatever this post-house settlement landscape looks like, you've got 105 scholarships. Man, unless a kid is just absolutely hopeless as a legacy, man, bring him on. And this kid is not a borderline. Like, bring this kid on. Lawrence Timmons' son, Jay Timmons, they're making a run at. He might flip by the time we're done talking about this, or in the hours of Wednesday, but he's been committed to Indiana. Ionata's a kid that has roots, legacy commit for Florida State, Michael Ionata. So I like to see that them, they've kind of responded, the staff, a little bit in terms of, all right, like, we don't maybe need to look that far away from quote unquote home when we're going after players. So I was glad to see that.
Well, it's just like in people that have listened to this show in the new age. Well, hopefully you've been listening to this for 8 years, but I'm talking about since the portal became such a dominant part of this sport. Know that I don't look at high school recruiting the same way I would have 8 years ago. I don't think it's as important, because who knows if these guys, when they start, they'll ever start for you. If they're good at, you can always go replace them. If you can go cover up mistakes you make on the recruiting trail a lot easier than you used to be able to. It's not the end-all, be-all of building a roster anymore. So I don't want it to sound like I'm now, just because they've had a nice couple of days, that all of a sudden Corey Clark's back. He's saying that high school recruiting matters, more than ever. I'm not saying that, but it's clear, right? Like, it doesn't seem coincidental that they looked like they were on their way to another kind of, I don't know, pedestrian recruiting class, like top 25-ish.
Yeah,
missing out on a lot of guys, not looking great for others, and then all of a sudden, it's not just that they got a four-star quarterback to commit from Oklahoma, to flip from Oklahoma, and a four-star tight end, a four-star wide receiver to flip from Auburn, and there's other down the pipeline too, apparently, where they're going to keep. They got their tentacles in a lot of different guys that would drive that recruiting ranking up even harder. They already got 10 four-star commits, which is impressive. There's only 6 teams in the country, I think, that have more four-stars right now committed to them than Florida State. But what happened? Doesn't it seem like this kind of came out of nowhere? As in, maybe there was a change in philosophy, or a faucet was opened up to make sure that some big-time high school players would sign with Florida State.
Yeah, and did the video with Michael, and his sort of takeaway from the Devin Carter thing was like, listen, Devin Carter, son of Dexter Carter, as Corey mentioned, Florida State legacy, was committed to Florida State for a good bit. Then he, after last season, ended up, I think, in January committing to Auburn, and then he flips back to Florida State. And Michael said that it was, him being around to practice, which I guess also maybe could bode well for what this team looks like this year. But he was around a practice. He got to speak to Gus Malzahn. He got to speak to Jaden O'Neal. So, you see a good quarterback on campus, you like the way the offensive coordinator, his vision is for the offense, and you like the way they look practicing. So that could turn things around. And, I don't know. I'm sure there's a faucet, a spigot somewhere that has to obviously be, turned clockwise to get things flowing well, or actually counterclockwise, I think. Lefty loosey, figure it out.
Lefty loosey, righty tighty, That's a little hint for everyone.
Yeah. So
hey, we didn't have YouTube to look up back in the day. We had to memorize sayings like lefty loosey, righty tighty.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't want to turn this to negative town, but again, it's June. If they perform well, you're going to hold on to all these guys. If you don't perform well, you're probably going to lose a few of them.
Well, that's natural. But I mean, like, coming off 2-10, like, look at those other teams in those rankings. Nobody sniffed the season as bad as Florida State. And you're talking about only 6 teams, and I think it's like Ohio State, Oregon, maybe Clemson, that have more 4-stars right now, Georgia, that have more 4-stars than Florida State. Well, one of these is not like the other. Now, I'm not saying that Florida State is not as marquee a program as most of those. I'm just saying they're coming off 2-10. There was a lot of negativity around this program with good reason. 2-10. I'm going to keep saying it. That's like 8 times already in this show. For you then to have a class that's kind of rocketing up the charts a little bit, and again, you're in on more kids that could get you maybe into the top 10-ish. After that, for Norvell to seemingly right now as we're talking, be putting together his best recruiting class after his worst season is just interesting to me. It's just interesting to me, as if, things are changing. One way or the other, things are changing. We're going to go back to our roots, which is getting one of the 5 or 7 best recruiting classes in the country, and let's see what that looks like. And maybe the House settlement had something to do with that. I know we had a story that the athletic what is it? Who did the board of trustees freed up $22.5 million to go into the athletic budget. So read that on War Chant. Much more detailed Ira story than me saying those 2 sentences. But I think that's what's so intriguing to me is this hasn't been this seems like the best stretch Florida State's ever had with Mike Norvell as the head coach in recruiting. And why middle of June did this all of a sudden start? What happened? And is this going to be the foreseeable future? This kind of
investment.
I don't know. Yeah, investment in like good news. That's fun to have good news when it comes to recruiting, and it's been a really good 72, 96 hours for Florida State recruiting.
There's a very enthusiastic Florida State fan at my gym, and I was getting off the treadmill, and I hate cardio, and it just saps me of all my strength. But I was walking off of it on Monday, and he was like walking into the gym, and I was getting off the treadmill, and he's, I don't know, 30, 40 feet from me, and I got my headphones in, and he's looking at me and gesticulating with his hands and like smiling, and I'm looking around. I'm like, are you talking to me? I've got headphones. I don't know what you're saying. And I pull my earbuds out, and he's like, what a great day. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, the recruiting. He's like, what an awesome day of recruiting, right? I'm like, oh yeah. I couldn't breathe, but I'm like, yeah. So there is no middle ground right now. There's either the fans that are like hungry for good positive news. It actually matters. Like this isn't I guess part of it is a beauty contest to be able to have a commitment in June. But, listen, it's been a bunch of body blows for a long time, it feels like. So to have like a stretch, like you've said, where this, last week almost has been really positive, has been much needed. But then there's also the other part. There isn't a middle ground. Like, I'll wait until they sign. It's like this matters. It does not matter. It's just, there's the ability to
I think because look, man, things change, and if they go 9-3 or 10-2, they'll get even more guys. If they go 4-8, well, you're probably got a new coaching staff, so none of this matters. But right now, as we speak here, let's just assume this next season they go 8-4, and Norvell keeps his job, gets some momentum. Malzahn and Tony White show some real improvement. You're building something. Because you have to come out of the rubble somehow, some way. I like the portal guys they got. Like I said, I do like Castellanos. I think he's going to add a lot to this program, not just bulletin board material. And they don't have bulletin boards anymore, guys. Don't worry about that. And hey,
yeah, he's just gonna pull it up on his screen the way that I pull stuff up when we do a live show.
These kids, their attention spans. They already forgot who said it. They're on to something else. They're watching a TikTok challenge. They're not going to remember the quarterback said they can't stop them and that Nick Saban can't save them. That won't come up ever again.
What if somebody from the Alabama defense after the game's over is like, we know what he said. We had it in our meeting room the entire week.
Oh, 100%. Buddy, they are going to dance on his grave if they beat him and make him look like a bad football player. And they have every right to. When you write checks like this, you don't get to control how the checks are cashed when you lose. So I completely would absolutely predict that, and I would let them do that. Just like for Florida State fans, we all remember Jordan Lynch, right?
Yeah.
Before the Orange Bowl, talking out of his behind about they were going to be on their knees in the fourth quarter, and they handled that horribly. I'm talking about Jordan Lynch and then the coach who said, he didn't really say that. I can't remember his name. He was the interim coach that I think ended up getting the job.
Rod something?
Rod Carey, maybe?
Yeah.
Carey?
Yeah, I think so.
Just handled it poorly, just ridiculous. But, yes, as you can imagine, Vince Williams was very, very happy to tell everyone after the game that he thought Jordan Lynch was trash. So that will come for Castellanos if it happens. But my thought being, I think Florida State was going to play hard in that game anyway. And I think they were going to take pride in their performance. And I think Alabama is going to play hard. Whether Castellanos had said, this is the best team I've ever faced, I just hope we can score one touchdown, or if he said what he said.
But do you think Florida State didn't play a little extra hard maybe in the Orange Bowl because of what that kid said? Was just coincidence?
I think they relished it a lot more.
Okay.
when they tackled him for another 2-yard loss. I think they relished, and Alabama will absolutely relish tackling Castellanos in that game. Let's just hope they don't go overboard with it. But I
let them go overboard with it. We'll take the 15 yards, buddy.
Well,
First
I
down,
meant
move chains.
like an injury. That's what I meant.
Oh yeah,
and then Brock Glenn has to come in and be like, I didn't say anything, guys. I think you guys are great. Kalen DeBoer's a great coach. Let's just have some fun. Let's play some ball. So you have to make amends real quick. I didn't say it, but I think that I think that game was going to be very highly competitive in a lot of talking either way on the field. It might ramp it up, but I don't know how you'd measure it.
Okay.
You know, that's all I'm saying. They're still going to play hard. They are going to relish the win a lot more than they would have if they win. So that was all. But yeah, I don't think the meeting room is going to be all about. Just look. We're not going to even look at their offense. We're not going to even scout what Malzahn likes to do. Just read this quote, guys. Just read this quote and go lift some weights. See you in Tallahassee. No, they're gonna play. They're gonna game plan like they always do. Either they can stop it or they can't.
Meanwhile, Ridge not stopping their 10% promo when you go to ridge.com, RIDGE.com/wakeup. Use a promo code WAKEUP, all one word. You can save up to 10% off of your order. Ridge manages the blend design with heavy-duty function. You can change your haircut, you can change your cologne, but you want to keep your wallet for life. Backed by a lifetime warranty, it will be the last wallet you will buy. Fit up to 12 cards and cash in a sleek, elegant bundle. It fits in your hand so nicely and in your front pocket. You won't even notice that it is there. 10% offer also applies to rings, key cases, and more. Head to rich.com/wakeup to save 10% and get free shipping and a 99-day risk-free trial. I'll be honest, my dad gave me this Yves Saint Laurent leather wallet that I was looking forward to using once my old leather wallet kicked out, but the Ridge wallet showed up beforehand. I'm not going back, I don't think. I like it a lot. Ridge.com/wakeup. Wake up the promo code. We're back. It's Wake Up War Chance presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. You guys think we're done talking football? Oh, you're so wrong. Corey and Aslan? Maybe presented by somebody. Corey, somebody actually didn't message me, but I saw commented over on YouTube and asked if they could actually sponsor not the War Champ, but yours and mine top 40.
Okay, well, they only got like 6 installments left, so they got to get after it.
Yeah, so email your guy, aslanwarchant.com. All right, what numbers are we at right now? I forgot. I don't know.
We're at 26-30.
26-30. Let's pull
so
up
getting close to getting definitely into contributors and maybe skirting a few starters.
Okay. I used to be able to do one of these rows to highlight, but all right, it's going to do all of them. 26-30. We start at 30, Corey. Justin Cryer, I've got Quindarius Jones. I don't know where in the world Quindarius Jones fits into things.
Yeah.
So this could be
Justin Cryer for that matter.
Well, I mean, it feels like Cryer.
We definitely think he's going to play, but I mean, you brought in.
I don't like the injury.
You brought in.
I don't like the injury. I don't know if I'm as much worried about who they brought in, but the fact that he got hurt so late in the season.
Yeah.
But to your point again, they brought guys in.
Yeah. So I think he's going to play. I like the kid. But who knows? Who knows how much he's going to play? I mean, he's got to compete with Nicholson. He's got to compete with Omar Graham, and he's also got to compete with Harrigan Thompson, who are definitely going to be on the field. So it feels like, there's not a lot of reps out there to go win, and he's got to compete with like Nicholson and Omar Graham because I think Harrigan Thompson will be on the field quite a bit.
Yeah. 29. You've got Lewayne McCoy. I've got Conrad Hussey. I don't really feel that great about Conrad, but just it's kind of a numbers game. When we're talking about safety, it's like Shaheem, KJ Kirkland.
Yep, Earl Little.
But Earl's. I mean, is Earl going to be slot cornerback or is he going to be a safety?
I think he's going to. I don't know. I think it's going to be a hybrid, like Sean Merriman back in the day. He's going to be a bit of a hybrid.
Sean Merriman lights out? You mean lights out?
Yeah,
from...
yeah. But I mean, he was a hybrid like defensive end linebacker,
right.
Or a little bit hybrid safety / slot corner. Yeah, we'll see. But I think he's going to be on the field, so in some sort of capacity. He's not going to be a straight cornerback. Yeah. So we'll see what he ends up being. But he's going to be in the middle of the field, I think.
LaWayne McCoy, I don't know, man. Like your 6th best possible receiving option in a Gus Malzahn offense. You think that's
maybe 3rd? Maybe
Whoa.
3rd. Like I'm not saying it as a fact.
That's a ceiling,
though. This year, I think, yes. But nothing has been proven that LaWayne McCoy can't be a really good college receiver. And again, he was pretty impressive before he got hurt. And let's see what he looks like a year later. And in this offense, he could get ahead of Boggs. You know what I mean? He could be right up there in the mix where he's really fighting for ahead of Elijah Moore. I would not be stunned if he's the 3rd receiver. I wouldn't be stunned at all if he was the 3rd receiver on this team.
I would. It just feels like, I mean, I don't know.
His story's not. I mean, he's not. The
his story isn't written. Somebody add that to the Clarkisms thread on the WorldChamp.com Tribal Council.
He's only been here a year. The jury's not out on him. He would have been one of their best players on offense last year if he was healthy if he hadn't lost most of the spring. Not that that's saying that's not a high bar to clear.
I don't think we spoke to him during the spring. Like they never offered him up to us, and I don't remember hearing about him. So. That factors into it too. And then, listen, I don't take any of this stuff personally. I promise you. But like when I think a player's going to do really well and then they don't, like I'm very much averse to going back to the well on them. Like I was with you, Corey. The way we saw him in spring and then preseason camp, like man, this kid really has a chance to come and help this offense immediately. Because again, remember we didn't like what they had at the number 2 wide receiver. Turns out we didn't really even have a number 1 wide receiver, but couldn't make things happen, so I was a
bunch of number 6 wide receivers.
That we did.
That was a problem.
28, my list. KJ Sampson. We need somebody on the defensive line to let Darrell Jackson come off the field every now and then. I have him ahead of Daniel Lyons, so I think I'm probably in the minority on. You got Javen Boggs at 28, 1 spot ahead of LaWayne McCoy.
Yeah, I think those are obviously interchangeable. That's kind of what I do sometimes is I don't want to look too dumb, so I have them right next to each other because I give Boggs a slight edge because of what he did this spring and how much they talked about him. But again, he's a true freshman. It's hard to just assume he's going to get 30 catches this year in that offense, but he might. But I do like both of them a lot. Boggs is really advanced for a true freshman that should have still been in high school when he was here this spring. And with KJ Sampson, I didn't realize this, Aslan. I was writing up the top 40, and he was one of the ones listed. He had 10 tackles all of last year, and 6 of them were in the Miami game. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I've never heard of something like that. And it's not like he didn't play in other games. Yeah. I mean, those Miami offensive linemen are still having nightmares about 5'6". Cam Horde was probably watching the draft wondering, when's he getting drafted? That kid that was all in the backfield that night in Coral Gables destroyed our offensive line. When did he go? That's the cool thing about that, though, with KJ Sampson is it does show there is some real potential there when you can – I'm not going to say dominate because they lost and it wasn't all that close and it's not like he changed the game. But when you can play and produce that well against that team, that offense – it makes you feel pretty good about maybe there's some real potential there to unlock where he could do that every week.
Yeah. You had Sampson at 27 on your list. I had Andre Otto at 27. Otto was on your list at number 38. Andre Otto is intriguing. Obviously, I think we're a little bit biased or rooting for him just because he's a homegrown guy, and it would be really nice to see them get a kid from high school, especially from like Key West. Like, all right, they went all the way down there to grab a guy. I mean, shoot, they went all the way over to London, England, apparently to get an offensive lineman. Part of the run they've been on with offensive linemen.
London, England's been good to them. Wasn't Menelik Watson from England?
I think so.
Yeah, he was a really good offensive lineman.
Yeah, so Andre Otto might be number 6. Like, I don't know how Herb Hand does things, if he actually has like a 2 deep or it's just like I rank my 10 best offensive linemen and I figure out how to configure the best 5 because we'll see. Again, Richie Leonard's a guy coming off an injury. His arm was in a sling all of last year after he got dinged up, I think, either in the Georgia Tech game or the Boston College game. So always a little bit leery about offensive linemen dealing with upper body arm injuries. So I think Andre Otto could, I like my pick there at 27.
Yeah, I just had him that low because the fact that I do think he's number 6. And if all 5 linemen stay relatively healthy, I don't know how much he's going to contribute. But there is a chance he'd be much higher on that list. Well, number one, if he goes and wins a job in August, which I would be surprised by just because they brought in all these guys for a reason. But, yes, he could play and play a lot because it's football, and linemen get hurt, especially in Tallahassee. So there is a chance he'll be starting multiple games, and he will be very important. And they do like him. Yeah. I would say Rizzi is another one that has a chance, like if they're going to have a top 7. Right. Not that all 7 are going to play, but that those are your 2 subs would be Rizzi and Otto maybe would be my 2 leading candidates for that right now.
I think Robert Scott went down in the 4th quarter at Louisville in 2022. But like if Andre Otto ends up having to come into the game at halftime of the Virginia game, right, and you're able to win the football game, and then whoever he replaced, if it's Adrian Medley or Richie Leonard, ends up coming back like a week later, like would that be enough in a postseason top 40? Would that, you think if you audited everything, would you be like, yeah, that he came in a tough spot?
Well, if he did well, if he helped you, like Rodemaker in 22, like where would he have finished in our postseason top 40? Yeah. Because he kind of went and won you the Louisville. I mean, I know Johnny Wilson won you the game, but Rodemaker was the one that made those throws, and that was a huge win. When you can chalk up a win, like one single win to a player's performance, yeah, I think that puts you in the top 30 to 35. Even if it's just one game, it puts you in the top 30 to 35, I think.
And then 26, Landon Thomas for you, Corey. I had Landon at 31. Really like Landon. We'll see how Randy Pittman works out. But again, I just feel like if Randy is kind of 1A and Landon's 1B, and you've got all these other, not all these other receiving options, but I don't think throwing the ball around is going to necessarily be the bread and butter. Deuce, Squirrel, Javen Boggs, to put a tight end any higher than I did, I won't say I didn't feel comfortable with, but that's why I slot him where I did. But I know you've liked Landon Thomas since the first time you kind of saw him move around on campus. You have him at 26. I've got Osmane Kroma at 26 on my list.
All right, yeah, those are both. I think both those guys are going to play, and I think they're going to contribute, and that's the part of the list we're in. Because listen, you just had on the 26th player on your list is a guy that was one of the top 5 or 7 high school running backs in the country.
Sounds about
right. And on my list was a guy that was at one time the number 1 high school tight end in the country. So it's not a horrible list, folks. I mean, there's some genuine talent when you're talking about the Landon Thomases of the world or the Kromas of the world being that low on a list. And I think with Landon, it's just hard to know what he is because of what he was surrounded by last year. But I do know that in the Clemson game, because I wrote his little whatever we call capsule. Yeah, there you go. He had 7 catches for 80 yards against Clemson. 7 for 80.
Yeah, we felt really good.
4 weeks into his college career, with Brock Glenn throwing on the ball, with no running game to speak of, my man had 7 catches for 80 yards. So, again, the potential is what's so alluring. What he's proven he can be. Now, it's about being consistent. It's about getting on the field. But I do think there is a chance, and there is a world where the 3rd and 4th leading receivers on the Florida State football team are both tight ends. And number 5 will be that 3rd wide receiver. I do think there's a chance that happens, and I think you're looking at a Landon Thomas who, even if it's not a quote-unquote breakout season, he could be a guy that gets you 30 for 300 or 30 for 400 and 5 touchdowns. That's not out of the realm of possibility. Or he could be a future first-round pick. Like, he's got a ceiling that we're not really sure of, but there is a chance he could be a really, really important player for this team when we look back on this list after the season is over.
Osmane Kroma on everyone's ballot. I thought I was going to be the one. My kind of plan was I want to be the guy that's got Kroma the lowest on his ballot, because I just felt like it was like an echo chamber of one guy was like, hey man, the best running back isn't even on campus yet. And then it was like, yeah, the best running back's not even on campus yet. Like, oh, there's Kroma kid. So I'm like, I'm going to shade sort of popular consensus, but I did not have him the lowest on my ballot. There's a couple other guys that had him a little bit lower. It's just, hey, true freshman, your Dalvins and Cam Akers, I mean, he might have been ranked somewhat similar to what they were. He wasn't a 5-star, but to your point, Corey, he's the number 3 running back in the class, number 74 overall prospect composite. Yeah. To make an impact that I think, people think if he's going to be the best running back on a team that's 8 or 9 wins, That's high cotton. I mean, that's a really big.
I also think
role.
most of us were thinking that right before Sawchuk. Like,
Fair.
I don't expect Cromall
fair.
to be as good from day one as Sawchuk is right now. Like, he might catch him by November, but I think right now, like, Sawchuk kind of pushed our prospects for him down a little because we think he's going to get a brunt of the carries.
All right, there we go. There it is. 26 through 30 on the War Chant Top 40. Just Corey and Mines, though, so you got to go to warchant.com.
To see the official list.
Yeah, that's the official. That's the one that really matters. So moms, dads, aunts, uncles, players, don't be mad. Just, you might be higher on the official list. That's the one that really does matter. It's official. LSU, really good baseball program, Corey. 8th national title.
Congrats to them.
Yeah.
Nothing but love for that program.
Any thoughts on my guy from Coastal Carolina, Matt Schall? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Schnall?
No, just that I'm a big fan of his, and it has I like his program seems to be run well, obviously, and it's cool that they're so good at a place like Coastal that they're one of the 10 or 15 best programs in the country. And
Schnall.
they got to the championship
Kevin
game.
Schnall, sorry, I apologize.
It just again, it goes back to him calling out O'Sullivan. It's just I will always root for him because these coaches so often protect each other, and they'll talk all kinds of noise about a coach just when it's off the record. Like he did this, he did this, he did this. You wouldn't believe what O'Sullivan said to our ops guy before his game on Sunday. But he took time, not even asked, took time to address it, to point out, and to make O'Sullivan tucked his tail between his legs and had to apologize. And the AD had to apologize because it was a horrific look. And I like adults calling out adults who act like children. And so I'm very, very I will always be a fan of his. And I don't think he was acting like a child to get thrown out. That was ridiculous. It's a high-pressure elimination game in the College effing World Series championship. Don't throw him out. And also, your zone sucked. He was right. But either way, the better team won. That team is stacked and loaded, and just feel awful for those Arkansas kids.
Florida State added a few arms since the last time we talked. They went down to South Florida, picked up left-handed pitcher Kevin Meeble.
There we go.
From Barry. He actually started off at FAU, and then he went to Barry last season. Barry is a D2 program.
In Rome, Georgia.
What's that?
I think it's in Rome, Georgia.
No, Barry's down in South Florida.
No, there is a Barry that's in Rome, Georgia, but it's not that Barry. My fault.
Okay,
My fault.
Yeah.
Keep going.
2.04 ERA as a reliever, 35 frames in 21 appearances, punched out 42, walked 23.
Don't like the walks, but probably pretty good arm, I think.
Yeah, and then I think Charlie Christensen from Central Arkansas. So 49 appearances, 19 starts in the past 3 years at Central Arkansas. There's a lot of big names, big programs that are losing players. Florida State maybe not in the mix quite for them, but I trust Link Jarrett. But
and develop your own guys. You recruited them and signed them for a reason. They got some stuff. Develop your own guys. Maybe they'll be good too.
You guys mentioned this. I was listening to headlines when I was driving around town the other day, and you guys mentioned this, and I am curious how it is all going to work out with the revenue share, and we'll see how it all goes. But, when you've got this quote unquote, revenue share, we can't call it a payroll or a salary cap or whatever. But, like St. John's obviously doesn't have a football program to fund. Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of the SEC coaches, I think Nate Oates from Alabama went on the record talking about his concern about uneven spending and how it's going to be unfair, which is extremely rich, but I digress.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
It feels like Coastal's got a football team that they care about, but I don't know if they, maybe care about baseball a little bit more. But I'm interested to see how some of these schools are going to figure out, if they're going to stay within the parameters of spending $20 million, how much they're going to prioritize baseball, and how many of these legitimate NIL opportunities can you offer to, make up perhaps some stuff that you can't offer in guaranteed money or whatever we're going to call the money that comes from revenue share.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that by the books you would be offering a college baseball player millions upon millions of dollars. They just don't bring it in. You wouldn't forsake, 6 starters on your football team so you could get a baseball player for $2.5 million. It just doesn't make sense. That's ridiculous.
Would Cam Leiter have made sense if he would have been healthy last year? If you know he was going to be healthy the entire year, and you paid $1.5 million to pull him away from UCF? And I know we don't know what happened, but like, could you see a world in which Florida State would have won it all, and then you'd be like, that was worth it?
Not if they only have a limit of $20 million for the whole athletics department.
Right.
There's no way you would do that. But I also would say that about almost every position on every team on campus besides quarterback. Everybody's numbers would go pretty low. I wouldn't do it for a basketball player. I wouldn't do it for a softball player. I wouldn't do it for most football players. $1.5 million. I mean, that's 5% of your budget for hundreds of athletes. That's 5% on one kid that doesn't even play every day. So no, I wouldn't think that is a possibility. I'm fascinated by how all this is going to work out, and I will say this: I said on headlines, I'm all for Florida State. I want to see what Luke Loucks has. I would go try to buy a baseball championship. As opposed, I would not take any money from football, but if I'm balancing basketball and baseball, Daddy's putting more money in the baseball pot. I want to see what that looks like. I know that basketball makes more money, but you look at those crowds. I mean, when the basketball team is good, yeah, man, they fill up the Civic Center, and that's 11,000 people in there, and that's a lot of money from the gate. That's a lot of money in beverages, merchandise, all that. But that was an all-time team. I don't know that, like, just trying to keep your head above water in college basketball and be like 500-ish or be on the bubble for the NCAA tournament, what's the point of doing that if you can go get to the College World Series in baseball? I think college baseball is becoming more and more popular. It clearly is with this fan base, and I think that there's got to be a philosophy there maybe of, I wonder if it'd make more sense to put more money into the Florida State starting rotation than the starting backcourt.
It feels
return
like
on investment. Yeah. But again, only if I'm talking about, because the argument we were having wasn't even an argument, discussion was like, yeah, man, but y'all are talking about you want to give Luke more money to maybe give him a chance to be top 8 in the ACC and maybe sniff an NCAA tournament, maybe. Well, that's mediocre basketball. So do you want a mediocre-ish basketball product? I'm talking about with the roster money you spend, or do you want a great baseball team? And what's better for the university? What gives more people joy? What would in line? I know the basketball. I don't know that mediocre basketball brings in worlds more money than really good college baseball. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If obviously a great college basketball team is going to make more money than a great college baseball team. That doesn't seem to be the two trees that we have to look at. You have either a mediocre-ish basketball team and a great baseball pro. You know what I mean? I just think it's interesting. I've talked way too much. I apologize. I've run out of steam.
You mentioned, we'll wrap it up here. I mean, you mentioned that was an all-time team, that Florida State. I mean, I don't know exactly
the COVID team. Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, there wasn't like a whole boatload of really highly acclaimed players that they brought in, right? I mean, like, Trent Forrest, T-Man, I don't know how much money you had to spend to get them on campus. Maybe have to up the ante once you make it to a Sweet 16 with those guys. But Devin Vassell, Cabangeli, I know he wasn't part of that particular team, but he was part of kind of the lead. And it just feels like basketball, it's like, Luke, good luck, man. Go find a Walter Clayton Jr. that's kind of under-recruited. Be that guy that finds that diamond. But with baseball, there's so many players that play baseball. There's 300. I mean, the same thing with basketball, but like, you're in the state of Florida. There's all these players that go first team all state, first team all county, and they can't even get a sniff. So identify them before teams out of state do, and they end up developing and blossoming there.
Let me ask you this real quick. If you're the AD and they come, or you're controlling the purse strings, and they're like, look, Luke Loucks comes to you and says, I got this guard on the hook that if we pay him X amount of money, I think we can get to the NCAA tournament. I really do. I think we can be one of the top 5 teams in the conference. And then Link Jarrett comes to you with the exact same price and says, if you give me this guy, if we can afford this guy, I think we have a chance to win the national championship.
Yeah.
Where do you put your money?
Michael Alford is going to put it in baseball, I think.
I
would put it in baseball. I would put it in baseball.
Me too. Because if there's a difference, that's where I am right now. And I know it's recency bias because college basketball really hasn't been fun at Florida State since before COVID.
But it hasn't been agonizing, though, right? Like, it's not part of our...
Yeah, but the baseball team has been, like, the last 2 years have been really fun. Yeah. And you're like, what could get them over the hump? And they're so much closer to winning a national championship than the basketball team is. So if you had a chance, and again, nobody can spin like this. You don't know just because you spend a lot of money you're going to win a national championship. But if one coach is telling you, I get this guy, I think we have the best team in the country, and the other guy's telling you, we get this guy, I think we have the fourth best team in the ACC, being close to equal, and I know they're not. I know basketball means more in the world of college athletics, but I think at Florida State, you think really long and hard about, Mike, I'm going to give Link the money.
Yeah. All right. We're going to give you the rest of your day back, everybody. Go make the best of it. We'll be back with 2 more shows this week, I think. So stay tuned. Subscribe to the podcast. That way you know when we drop a new show. You don't have to scroll and look around everywhere. So subscribe to the pod. And I'll have the mailbag thread probably posted as you're reading or listening to this, everybody. So get involved in generating discussion sparked by Cummins. Get entered to the drawing to win a free Cummins gift bag. And then obviously the end-of-year grand prize drawing for a portable generator and a portable power station. For real. They're going to give it away to you, folks. It's incredible. Until then, have a great one. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up War Champ, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com.